Let me tell you something that might shake you a little bit, and if it doesn't, you're probably not listening hard enough. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you tolerate. You get what you settle for. You get what you allow. Your current reality is not a reflection of your dreams, it's a reflection of your standards. And if you want a better life, stop fantasizing and start elevating. Because the moment you raise your standards, your results have no choice but to rise with them. So your standard is the soil and your life is the fruit. If the fruit is bitter, don't blame the tree. Don't blame the sun, don't blame the season. Fix the soil, raise the standard. Some of you are praying for a harvest with low-level soil. You're asking for abundance while operating from average. It doesn't work that way. You can't plant mediocrity and expect greatness to grow. If you want more, you've got to be more, do more, and demand more from yourself. Let's be clear. Raising your standards is not about hype. It's not about affirmations without action. It's about discomfort. It's about sacrifice. It's about doing what most people won't so you can live how most people can't. It's about pushing past the moment when your mind says, I've had enough, and saying back, good, now we're just getting started. Growth never shows up wearing comfort. It shows up in challenge and sweat. 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 And don't get it twisted, raising your standards is not about patting yourself on the back for trying. That's what the world wants you to believe, that effort is enough. But in the real world, results rule. If your standard is just to try, then guess what? You'll try a lot and you'll fail a lot. But if your standard is to produce, to finish, to win, then your mind will stop looking for exit doors and start finding answers. People who win don't raise standards based on how they feel. They raise them based on what they want to create. Now here's where it gets real. You cannot keep your standards high while your circle is low. If you're the only one talking about growth, success, discipline, vision, you're in the wrong room. Get around people who make your excuses sound foolish. Get around people who live what you say you want. Because proximity is power, and if you want to elevate, stop just looking up, start standing next to people who are already operating at the level you say you're aiming for. And lastly, raising your standards starts with a declaration, but it ends with discipline. It's easy to say, I deserve better. It's easy to post it, easy to preach it, but it means nothing until your actions catch up with your words. You don't rise to the level of your declarations. You fall to the level of your routines, your discipline, your choices, every single day. So I'll leave you with this. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is not a miracle, it's a standard. And the day you decide to raise it for real is the day everything else in your life starts to rise with it. Now go out there and raise the bar. You don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. That's the hard truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Wanting is easy. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants wealth. Everybody wants freedom. But look around. Very few people have it. Why? Because wanting doesn't change your life. What you tolerate does. If you tolerate lateness, excuses, laziness, drama, chaos, then don't be surprised when your life reflects those exact things. Your life doesn't rise to your desires, it falls to your standards. See, it's not about what you write down on a vision board. It's not about what you tell people you're going to do. It's about what you refuse to accept anymore. The moment you decide, I will no longer tolerate being broke, being average, being tired, being disrespected, being overlooked, that's when everything shifts. Not when you wish for better, but when you become unwilling to accept anything less. Every breakthrough starts with a breakdown of tolerance. The relationship didn't change until you stopped tolerating disrespect. The income didn't change until you stopped tolerating being underpaid. Your health didn't change until you stopped tolerating the excuses. You didn't get stronger because you wanted it. You got stronger because you stopped accepting weakness as an option. You've got to get to a place where your standard makes average uncomfortable, where your boundaries offend people who benefit from your lower standards, where your energy is too expensive for laziness to afford. You're not here to blend in, you're here to level up. And that begins the second you stop tolerating the version of yourself that keeps settling for less. You want change? Don't just want it. Don't just talk about it. Start refusing anything that doesn't align with the version of you that's going places. Raise the bar. Hold the line. Because the minute you stop tolerating the old, you make space for the new. And that's when life stops giving you what you've been getting and starts giving you what you've been becoming. Standard is the soil, your life is the fruit. It doesn't matter how big your dreams are, how loud your affirmations are, or how detailed your goals are. If your standards are low, your results will be too. Just like a tree cannot outgrow the quality of the soil it's planted in, you cannot outgrow the standard you live by. Everything you produce, your income, your relationships, your health, your mindset, is the fruit of the standard you've been planting in day after day. You don't get success by accident, and you don't stumble into greatness. You cultivate it. You grow it. And that growth begins underground in the hidden places. Your habits, your thoughts, your disciplines, your standards. People look at someone's fruit and say, wow, they're lucky. No, they're not lucky. They're planted in better soil. They raised the standard. They demanded more from themselves long before anyone else believed they could deliver. If your life is full of frustration, inconsistency, chaos, it's not a sign that you're cursed. It's a sign that your soil needs work. It means it's time to get intentional about what you allow, what you expect, and what you accept. Because the fruit is always honest. It doesn't lie. If the fruit is rotten, the solution isn't painting the fruit, it's fixing the soil. And that means confronting the parts of your life where you've been allowing mediocrity to live rent-free. People want to change their lives, but they don't want to change their standards. That's like trying to grow an orchard in dry, cracked ground. No matter how much you want abundance, if your standards are inconsistent, weak, or reactive, your life will keep producing the same stunted results. But the moment you enrich the soil, the moment you upgrade the standard, your fruit can't help but grow. You don't have to force it. That's the power of standards. They don't ask for permission, they shape the outcome. So stop chasing fruit and start focusing on the soil. Upgrade how you think, how you speak, how you move, how you respond to challenge. Set a new standard, not just for what you do, but for who you are. Because once the soil is right, you won't have to beg for results. They'll show up on their own in abundance, because that's what strong soil does. Raise the standard and watch the fruit take care of itself. Comfort is the doorway to higher standards. Everyone says they want growth, but not everyone is willing to go through what growth actually feels like. It's not smooth, it's not pretty, and it's definitely not comfortable, because the very moment you decide to raise your standard, life will test you, it will stretch you, it will press on every weakness and ask, do you really want this? And how you respond in that moment, that's what separates those who rise from those who retreat. Comfort is where dreams go to die. It's where potential gets buried under routines that feel safe but lead nowhere. You don't change your life by staying comfortable. You change your life by walking through the resistance. You change it by doing the things most people avoid: getting up earlier, saying no to distractions, confronting your excuses, demanding more when no one else is watching. That's the discomfort that raises the bar. Not once, but permanently. Every new standard you set will come with a new level of discomfort. That's the toll. That's the price of elevation. And here's the thing. You don't pay for it once. You pay for it daily. Discipline isn't something you do when it feels good. It's something you do until it feels normal. Until that new higher standard becomes your new baseline. Most people never walk through that door because they've been taught to fear discomfort. But discomfort isn't your enemy, it's your signal. It's the alarm clock of transformation. It tells you exactly where you need to go next. If waking up early hurts, do it. If having the tough conversation scares you, have it. If pushing past your limits exhausts you, push anyway. Because everything you want, everything that would radically transform your life is waiting on the other side of that discomfort. And the more you walk through that door, the more you realize that discomfort wasn't there to break you, it was there to build you, to introduce you to a version of yourself you didn't even know existed. Stronger, sharper, more focused, more relentless. That version doesn't show up in comfort. It shows up when you're willing to lean into the fire and refuse to back down. So the next time discomfort knocks, don't run from it, step through it, because that's not the enemy, that's the entrance. And on the other side of it is the standard that changes everything. Set results-based standards, not effort-based excuses. One of the biggest traps people fall into is believing that effort alone is enough to justify success. They say, but I tried, as if that should automatically produce results. But life doesn't reward effort. It rewards execution. It rewards outcome. It rewards the person who gets it done, not just the one who meant well. Intentions don't build businesses. Trying doesn't transform your body. Wanting doesn't create wealth. Results are the scoreboard, and they don't lie. When you live by effort-based standards, you start settling. You start congratulating yourself for doing the bare minimum. You tell yourself that showing up was enough, even when you didn't follow through. You start saying things like, at least I tried, instead of asking, did I win? Did I finish? Did I hit the target? You start using effort as a shield against accountability, and that's why progress stalls. Because you're measuring motion instead of momentum, action instead of achievement. But when you shift to results-based standards, everything changes. You stop just checking boxes, and you start demanding outcomes. You stop being okay with half-done work. You stop making excuses for why it didn't happen, and start taking ownership of what must happen. You raise the bar from I did my best to I got the job done. Because let's be honest, people who consistently win in life are not the ones who always feel motivated. They're the ones who set standards that don't bend just because things got hard. That means holding yourself to a higher measure. It means saying, I will get this result, period, and if it doesn't happen, you don't explain it away. You learn, adjust, and execute again. You keep moving until the job is finished, not until it's attempted, not until it feels difficult, until it's done. That's how real progress is made, when you stop using effort as an alibi and start measuring your life by what you're actually producing. And here's the truth. If your standards are based on results, your mindset changes. You don't get distracted by drama. You don't waste time on things that don't move the needle. You focus, you execute, you deliver, and you don't rest until the scoreboard reflects the standard. So decide today, no more celebrating effort without results. No more excuses dressed up as effort. Hold the line, get the outcome, because when your standard is results, success isn't a possibility, it's inevitable. Surround yourself with people who embody the standard, not just talk about it. You can't raise your life if you're surrounded by people who are comfortable being average. Environment is everything. The people you allow around you will either stretch your standards or slowly suffocate them. If you're the most driven, the most focused, the most ambitious person in the room, then you're not in a room that's going to elevate you. You're in one that's going to drain you. Energy is contagious. Discipline is contagious. So is laziness. So is mediocrity. Every time you interact with someone, you're either being pulled forward or pulled backward. And you've got to be brutally honest. Are the people in your circle calling you higher, or are they coddling your comfort? Are they challenging your habits or enabling your excuses? Because what you surround yourself with eventually becomes what you accept. You need people who live the standard, not just quote motivational lines, but walk it out every single day. People who make you uncomfortable with how consistent they are. People who don't need to be pushed because they're already moving. People who don't just hype you up, but hold you accountable. Because that's what real growth looks like. It's not a feel-good party, it's a sharpening process. Sometimes the most powerful decision you can make isn't adding something, it's subtracting someone. You can't afford to keep people close who normalize what you're trying to break free from. You're raising your standard not just for a moment, but for life. And that requires a support system that aligns with the level you're committed to living at. You can't soar with anchors tied to your wings. Look at your circle and ask yourself, if I keep rolling with these people for the next 5 years, will I be further, stronger, sharper, or just older and more frustrated? If the answer isn't a clear yes, it's time to level up your surroundings. Because proximity is power. Being near excellence forces you to confront your own limitations. Being near discipline forces you to step your game up. Being near high standards forces you to either grow or go. So surround yourself with people who push you, people who live in alignment with the future you're building, people who show you every day what it means to raise the bar and keep it there. Because when your circle embodies the standard, your elevation is no longer optional, it becomes inevitable. Declare it, then discipline it. A decision without discipline is just a wish in disguise. It's easy to make a declaration. Anyone can say, I'm done playing small, or I'm raising my standard, but the declaration is just a spark. It's what you do after the words leave your mouth that determines whether your life actually changes. Too many people are addicted to the high of the declaration, but allergic to the grind of the discipline. Your declaration sets the direction, but only your discipline builds the road. It's not about one loud moment of inspiration. It's about quiet, consistent execution when nobody's clapping for you. Discipline is the proof that you meant what you said. If you said you're done tolerating average, then discipline is what gets you up at 5 a.m. when your body says no. If you declared financial freedom, then discipline is what stops you from spending like you're still broke in your mindset. Discipline is the bridge between the version of you that talks about it and the version of you that lives it. People quit not because they weren't passionate, but because they had no plan, no structure, no standard they enforced when motivation faded. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't wait until the stars align. It shows up every single day and demands that you show up too. Focused, intentional, committed. That's the price of a higher standard. That's the cost of growth. You've got to become the kind of person who follows through, especially when it's hard. That's how you shift from declarations that inspire others to discipline that transforms yourself. You don't get stronger by talking about strength. You get stronger by doing the reps. You don't build a legacy by declaring impact. You build it by showing up even when you don't feel like it and delivering value, excellence, consistency over and over again. So don't just declare the new standard, discipline it every morning, every task, every decision, until it's no longer something you force, it's just who you are. Because the real power isn't in the promise, it's in the process. And the people who win long term are the ones who didn't just say it once, they lived it daily. So here's the truth. Your life will never rise above your standards, not your talent, not your potential, not even your